Elias Vega squinted against the harsh glare of twin suns as he adjusted his atmospheric suit's cooling system. The desert stretched before him like an ocean of fire, its red-gold dunes rippling to the horizon. Command had sent him to map the terrain in this remote region of Vastum, a newly contacted world whose dominant species had reluctantly agreed to diplomatic relations. Recording geological survey, Quadrant 17, he spoke into his comm unit. Air temperature 48 Celsius, minimal vegetation, no surface water detected. A shimmer in the distance caught his eye, something unnatural in the landscape's relentless undulation. Elias trudged toward it, each step sinking into the sand. As he crested a dune, he froze. A face emerged from the ground itself, eyes closed, skin the color of burnished copper, with faint scale-like patterns along the temples. The being was buried up to its neck in sand. What the hell? Elias rushed forward, dropping to his knees beside the buried figure. It was female, humanoid but clearly alien, with elegant elongated features and small ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. Her breathing was shallow, lips cracked from dehydration. Protocol dictated non-interference with indigenous judicial practices, but something in him rebelled at the sight of her deliberate abandonment. She couldn't have been more than the equivalent of a young adult, and the method of execution was barbaric. Her eyes fluttered open, startling amber with vertical pupils that contracted in the sunlight. She spoke, her voice barely audible, in a language his translator couldn't decipher. But the fear and resignation in her expression transcended language. "I'm kidding you out," Elias said, knowing she wouldn't understand. He began digging frantically, sweeping away the compacted sand around her shoulders. As he freed more of her body, he saw intricate markings etched into her skin. Not tattoos, but natural pigmentation forming complex patterns across her collarbones. Her arms were bound behind her with some kind of organic fiber that had cut into her skin. When he finally pulled her free, she was so weak she collapsed against him. Her body temperature was dangerously high, even for a desert-adapted species. Elias broke open emergency water capsules, carefully helping her drink while his suit's medical scanner assessed her condition. Severe dehydration, elevated heart rate, the scanner reported. Subject requires immediate medical attention. Night was approaching, bringing plummeting temperatures. Elias's shelter was too far, and the alien woman wouldn't survive the journey in her condition. He activated his emergency beacon, then hesitated. If his superiors discovered his interference, he'd face serious consequences. After a moment's deliberation, he deactivated it. Instead, he set up his thermal shelter and carried the alien woman inside. Under the shelter's soft blue light, he carefully cut away her bonds and treated her wounds with his limited medical supplies. "My name is Elias," he said, pointing to himself. "Elias." She watched him with those remarkable amber eyes, wariness giving way to cautious trust. After a moment, she placed a trembling hand on her chest. "Thora," she whispered. When night fell, bringing the desert's bone-deep chill, they huddled together for warmth. Elias monitored her vital signs, relieved as they gradually stabilized. Outside, 3 moons cast silver light across the endless dunes, while inside the small shelter, 2 beings from different worlds found unexpected sanctuary in each other's presence. As Thora drifted into exhausted sleep, her hand found his and held tight. Elias watched the rise and fall of her chest, knowing that with one impulsive act of compassion, he had forever altered both their destinies. Dawn broke across the desert as Elias guided Thora toward an abandoned research outpost he'd discovered during previous surveys. The dilapidated structure, half buried by sand and forgotten by both their peoples, offered the perfect hiding place. "Here," Elias said, pointing to the partially concealed entrance. Thora followed his gaze, her amber eyes assessing the structure with cautious intelligence. Inside, dust covered abandoned equipment and sparse furnishings. Elias activated the outpost's solar collectors, bringing basic systems online while Thora explored the space with wary curiosity, her movements still weak from her ordeal. "You'll be safe here," Elias said, though he knew she couldn't understand him. He removed his translator device and began programming it with vocal samples from Thora's language, hoping to bridge their communication gap. Over the next days, as Thora regained her strength, the translator began forming rudimentary connections between their languages. Slowly, haltingly, they began to talk. "Why you save me?" Thora asked on the fourth day. Her words filtered through the translator's mechanical voice. "I couldn't leave you to die," Elias replied simply. Thora's expression darkened. "My people, the Vasteri, believe justice means elimination of those who disturb harmony." "What was your crime?" She touched the intricate markings on her collarbones. "I am Korra-born, meant to serve and never speak. But I spoke for the unmarked ones who are treated as nothing." Her voice hardened. "I challenged the elders' right to enslave those born without markings." As days passed, their ability to communicate improved. Thora revealed more about her society's rigid caste system, where one's birth markings determined one's entire fate. The revolution she had helped organize had been betrayed from within. Elias found himself increasingly drawn to her fierce intelligence and quiet strength. In turn, Thora studied him with growing fascination, asking endless questions about Earth and human society. One evening, as they shared a meal of synthesized proteins, their hands accidentally touched. Elias felt an unexpected jolt of connection. Instead of pulling away, Thora interlaced her copper-hued fingers with his. "Your people believe touch means nothing special," she said softly. "For Vasteri, touch is intimate, reserved for those who share life bond." "I should respect your customs," Elias said, beginning to withdraw his hand. "No," she replied, holding tighter. "I choose this. With you." That night, they slept side by side, not touching but aware of each other's presence in a new, charged way. As Thora's breathing deepened in sleep, Elias watched the starlight play across the delicate ridges of her face, knowing that what had begun as a rescue had become something far more complicated and precious. The morning calm shattered when Elias's communications unit blared to life. "Scout Vega, report your position immediately," commanded Captain Reeves. "Your locator shows you've remained stationary for 9 days. Explain yourself." Elias glanced at Thora, who tensed at his expression. "Minor equipment failure, Captain. Conducting repairs and extended geological study. We've detected unauthorized power usage at an abandoned outpost. Are you there?" "Affirmative. Using it as a base while. Return to base camp immediately. Sensors have detected increased Vasteri activity in your sector. They appear to be searching for something." After the transmission ended, Elias explained the situation to Thora, whose face paled beneath its copper tones. "The High Council never leaves a punishment incomplete," she said. "They will not stop until they find me." That afternoon, they spotted a Vasteri patrol skimmer on the horizon. There was no time left. They had to move. Under cover of darkness, they fled, taking only essential supplies. Elias had heard rumors of a hidden settlement of outcasts in the canyonlands to the east. If anyone would shelter them, it would be those who had also rejected Vasteri authority. Their journey took them through treacherous terrain where razor-sharp rock formations tore at their clothing and skin. When Elias slipped on a narrow ledge, Thora caught him with surprising strength, pulling him to safety. They collapsed together, hearts pounding from the near fall. In the silver moonlight, their faces were inches apart. Something shifted between them, fear giving way to a different kind of intensity. "I never understood why the ancient poems speak of finding one's spirit in another's eyes," Thora whispered, "until now." Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory, 2 species discovering each other. Her skin was warmer than human temperature, her touch feather-light as she traced the contours of his face. After 3 days of travel, they found the hidden settlement, a complex of caves and structures ingeniously built into a massive canyon wall. The inhabitants, Vasteri without birthmarks, or with imperfect markings, initially regarded Elias with suspicion and Thora with disbelief. "A Korra-born who speaks for herself and travels with an alien," said Marin, the settlement's leader. "You are either very brave or very foolish." "Perhaps both," Thora replied. That night, in a small chamber carved from living rock, Thora and Elias surrendered to the connection growing between them. Their intimacy was a gentle exploration of similarities and differences, each discovery a new bridge between their worlds. Afterward, Thora traced the constellation of her birthmarks, showing Elias how they formed a map of her people's ancestral stars. "In finding you," she murmured, "I have become lost to my world." "Then we'll make a new one," Elias promised, not yet understanding how prophetic his words would prove to be. The outcasts' settlement buzzed with newfound purpose. Using Elias's technology and Thora's insider knowledge of Vasteri society, they began organizing a resistance movement that quickly spread through hidden communications to sympathizers in cities across the planet. "The system has stood for 10,000 years, Marin cautioned. "It will not fall easily." 10,000 years of injustice doesn't justify one more day of it," Thora replied, her voice carrying a natural authority that drew others to her. Elias watched her transformation with wonder and pride. The woman he'd rescued from the desert had become a powerful leader, her passion igniting hope in those who had known only resignation. At night, in their private moments, she showed him a different kind of fire, one that burned only for him. "I never imagined feeling this way about someone not of my kind," she confessed one night, her fingers tracing patterns on his chest. "It should be impossible." "Maybe the universe has a sense of humor," Elias replied, drawing her closer. Their plans progressed rapidly until the day a Vasteri patrol discovered one of their communication relays. Within hours, the settlement was surrounded by elite Vasteri guards, led by Elder Coven, the most feared of the High Council. "Surrender the aberration and the alien," Coven's amplified voice echoed through the canyon, "or we will destroy this entire settlement of defectives." Elias knew they couldn't risk the lives of everyone in the settlement. Despite Thora's protests, he surrendered himself, hoping to create a distraction that would allow the others to escape. The Vasteri took him to the capital city, where he was imprisoned and interrogated about Earth's intentions. Elder Coven himself conducted the questioning, revealing his fear that humans plan to overthrow Vasteri civilization. "Your presence has already corrupted one of our Korra-born," Coven said. "Your execution will restore harmony." The night before his scheduled execution, Elias heard commotion in the corridors. His cell door slid open to reveal Thora, disguised in formal Vasteri robes, her birthmarks accentuated with ceremonial pigment. "How did you?" "I walked in as if I belonged," she said, helping him up. "No one questions a Korra-born on official business. They're trained not to see us." Their escape route led through the central temple, the heart of Vasteri authority. There, surrounded by ancient artifacts, Thora revealed her true power. The markings on her skin began to glow with inner light as she accessed the temple's sacred records. "My birthmarks aren't just status symbols," she explained as her hands moved across the temple controls. "They're keys to our ancestors' knowledge the elders have hidden to maintain their power." Before they could escape, they were surrounded by temple guards. In the confrontation that followed, Elias took a ceremonial blade meant for Thora, the wound deep but not fatal. As his blood spilled onto the temple floor, Thora's markings blazed with unprecedented brightness, temporarily blinding their attackers and allowing them to flee into the night. The revolution began at dawn. Using the ancestral knowledge Thora had accessed in the temple, the resistance disabled the capital's security systems. Vasteri from all castes who had suffered under the Elder's rule joined the uprising. Meanwhile, Elias discovered that his human expedition, alarmed by his capture, was preparing a military intervention that would devastate Vasteri society. If they attack, all chance for peaceful change dies. He told Thora as she treated his wound in their hidden base, "I have to stop them." "And I must face the High Council," she replied. "It's time to end this." Their farewell was brief but intense, each knowing they might never see the other again. Elias pressed his forehead to hers in the traditional Vastari gesture of deep connection. "In my language, we have a word, soulmate," he said. "It means—" "I understand," she interrupted, her eyes shimmering. "We have the same concept. Astaran. Star twin." While Elias raced to intercept the human ships, Thora entered the council chamber during the Festival of Renewal, the one time when any Vastari could speak before the assembled elders. Her appearance caused an uproar, her supposed execution having been announced throughout the capital. "I stand before you twice condemned, yet alive," her voice rang out. "Not through defiance of our laws, but through understanding of our true heritage." Her birthmarks glowing, she activated the chamber's ancient holographic systems, revealing the original Vastari constitution, one that proclaimed equality among all people, regardless of markings. "Our ancestors fled persecution on another world," she announced to the stunned assembly. "They vowed never to create hierarchies of oppression. The markings were meant to denote areas of service, not levels of worth." As chaos erupted in the chamber, Elias succeeded in negotiating with the human expedition. Captain Reeves reluctantly agreed to a diplomatic rather than military approach, contingent on proof of social reform. The revolution succeeded not through bloodshed, but through revelation. With their legitimacy shattered, most elders surrendered their authority. A new council formed, representing all Vastari regardless of birthmarks. 3 months later, Elias stood beside Thora at the signing of the first Earth Vastari Accord. As official representatives of their peoples, their relationship had evolved from forbidden to emblematic of a new era. The ceremony complete, they walked together through gardens planted where desert once dominated, the first fruits of Earth agricultural technology shared with Vastari. The elders' final argument against our union was that we could never truly be one. Thora said, stopping beneath flowering trees. "That biology would forever separate us." Elias smiled. "They underestimated both our species' adaptability." He produced a small crystal containing the results of research conducted by scientists from both worlds. "It's possible," he said softly. "Difficult, requiring medical intervention, but possible." Thora took the crystal, her markings pulsing with joy as she understood its implications. A child of two worlds. As dusk fell on the transformed landscape, they stood at the threshold of possibilities neither had imagined when they first met in the desert. Behind them lay the remnants of ancient prejudices. Before them stretched a future as vast and promising as the stars themselves. From buried in sand to touching the sky, Thora whispered, "Perhaps the old legends were right after all." "Which legends?" Elias asked, drawing her close. "That the greatest revolutions begin not with armies," she said, "but with a single act of compassion."